The Police were on top of the world. By the early 1980s, they weren't just another rock band. They were the band, selling out stadiums, topping charts, and redefining what it meant to mix punk, reggae, and pop. But inside the band, chaos. At the center of the storm stood Sting, charismatic, intense, and quickly outgrowing the group that made him famous. The world saw three bandmates making magic. But behind the scenes, it was something else. Constant fights, clashing egos, and a ticking time bomb ready to explode. Stewart Copeland, the drummer, had fire in his playing and in his personality. He and Sting, like oil and water. They couldn't even agree on how to rehearse. Arguments would start over a song and end in full-blown shouting matches. There were even physical fights during recording sessions. And yet, the music kept getting better. Every breath you take became a monster hit. But listen closely, that wasn't a love song. It was about control, possession, a toxic relationship. And for many fans, it described the Police better than any interview ever could. By 1984, the band released Synchronicity, their biggest album ever. But would also be their last. They walked away from fame, from fortune, from everything they had built. Why? For decades, fans blamed creative tension, personal ambition, or just burnout. But Sting stayed quiet. Until now. And when he finally told the truth, it shocked even the most loyal fans. The clash no one could stop. Inside the studio, Stewart Copeland threw a drumstick across the room. Sting had told him, again, how to play a part. Not suggest. Not discuss. Told. That was the breaking point. Stewart yelled. Sting yelled louder. Andy Summers, the guitarist, tried to calm them down, but he was stuck in the middle of two hurricanes. It was always like this. The songs were great, but the vibe? Pure tension. Behind the music, each man had his own dream. Stewart saw the Police as a real band. Sting saw it as a launch pad, and every hit they made, it made the situation worse. Sting began writing songs alone. He'd bring almost finished tracks into the studio and expect Stewart and Andy to just play along. No more jamming. No more group chemistry. Just Sting's vision. It wasn't ego, he later said. It was survival. He felt trapped, like he was acting a role in a band that no longer inspired him. But Stewart? He didn't see it that way. He felt pushed aside, used, dismissed. Andy, the quiet one, just wanted peace. But peace doesn't last long in a war zone. During one recording, Stewart hit the wrong beat. Sting snapped. Stewart stood up and lunged. It took engineers to pull them apart. That same day, Sting decided something in secret. The Police would end. But not yet. Not publicly. He had one final move to make. One that would shock even his bandmates. The secret decision that changed everything. Sting walked into the studio the next morning like nothing happened. No one knew that in his mind, the Police were already done. He had made the decision silently, without warning Stewart or Andy. No dramatic announcement. Just a quiet promise to himself. This would be the last Police album. The last tour. The last time he would compromise who he was for the sake of the band. But why the secrecy? Because Sting understood something vital. If he told them now, everything would fall apart. The label would panic. The press would swarm. And worst of all, the fans would feel betrayed. So he played the game. He smiled in interviews. He acted like the future was bright. But inside, he was planning his exit. Meanwhile, the other two had no idea. Andy Summers focused on the music. He had always been the steady hand. His guitar made their songs shimmer. He wasn't interested in the drama, just the art. Stewart, though, felt it. He couldn't explain why, but the vibe had shifted. Sting seemed distant, colder, less willing to engage. He told a friend, "It's like Sting's already somewhere else." He was right, because while the Police were promoting Synchronicity, Sting was secretly recording demos for a solo album. Not in a flashy studio, just quietly. Carefully, planning the next phase. He didn't want to leave the band in ruins. But he also knew Sting would ruin him. The final tour came. Huge crowds. Thunderous applause. But the energy between the bandmates was gone. At one point, after a show in Paris, Sting sat alone in his hotel room and looked at a newspaper. The headline read, "The Police, bigger than the Beatles?" He laughed to himself, because no one knew the truth. The Police weren't the next Beatles. They were already over. Going solo, going silent. Sting finally made it official, without actually saying it. He released The Dream of the Blue Turtles, his first solo album. It was jazzy, political, deeply personal, nothing like the Police. He didn't call a press conference to announce the band's end. He didn't blame anyone. He just moved on. And that silence? It spoke louder than any headline. Fans were confused, some angry, others heartbroken. Stewart Copeland found out about the solo album the same way the fans did, on the radio. He felt betrayed, not just by Sting's decision, but by the way he did it. Quietly, without a conversation. Andy Summers took it differently. He understood. Sting had grown, he later said, and the band couldn't contain that anymore. Still, the silence hurt. No farewell tour. No goodbye. Just an ending that felt more like a ghost town than a grand finale. For years, it didn't speak much. Each man went his own way. Sting became a superstar. Stewart composed film scores. Andy pursued photography and solo work. But deep inside, the questions lingered. Why didn't they talk it out? Could they have saved the band? Or were they always doomed from the start? The truth comes out. Decades passed. The Police became a legend. Their music stayed timeless. But the mystery of their breakup grew louder with time. And then, in an interview years later, Sting finally said it out loud. I left the Police because I was dying inside. He didn't mean physically. He meant creatively, emotionally. He explained that the success became a prison, that the pressure to repeat hits like Every Breath You Take took the joy out of music. And the worst part? The fighting. He said it was toxic. We were three guys with strong visions. And sometimes those visions became weapons. He wasn't blaming Stewart or Andy. He took responsibility, too. I was hard to be around. I know that now. But I couldn't fake it anymore. That honesty stunned fans. For years, people had built theories. Now, here was the truth from the man himself. Not fame, not money, not ego. It was the simple pain of not belonging anymore. Sting had outgrown the cage. And the Police? They were never built to last. They were fire and brilliance. But like fire, they burned out fast. One last time, and the silence after. In 2007, something happened no one saw coming. A reunion. After more than 2 decades of silence, Sting, Stewart Copeland, and Andy Summers stepped onto a stage, together. The Police were back. But this wasn't about making a new album or chasing chart success. It was about closure. The fights? They were in the past. The wounds? Still there, but healing. They weren't trying to be the band they once were. They were honoring what they had been. The tour sold out instantly. Fans cried, cheered, sang every lyric like it was still 1983. But the vibe was different. Sting no longer barked commands. Stewart and Andy had their space. And the tension that once poisoned everything, it was still there, but now it was handled with respect. Stewart later joked, "We still hate each other a little, but we hide it better now." Behind the humor was something deeper, growth. They had become men who understood what they once couldn't. That brilliance and harmony don't always mean peace. That some bands are lightning in a bottle, meant to strike once, not forever. When the reunion tour ended, the Police walked away once again. This time, for good. No albums. No fake promises. Just a final bow. And this time, no one was angry. They had made peace, not just with each other, but with the past. Years later, when asked if he missed the band, Sting gave a quiet smile. "I love what we made. I just couldn't live inside it." And that's the story no one tells. The Police weren't destroyed by fame or ego. They were simply 3 men who caught lightning and knew when to let it go. So the next time you hear Roxanne or Message in a Bottle, remember, those songs came from chaos, from brilliance and breakdown, from a band that couldn't survive itself, yet still changed music forever. And in the silence that followed their breakup, they left something louder than any encore. Truth. Because in the end, the Police didn't crash. They chose to land. One last time. And they did it on their terms. They came. They burned bright. And they left before it all turned to ashes. Not every band fades quietly. Some leave a thunderclap behind. The Police didn't just make music. They made history. And even in silence, they still echo. If you stayed with us till the end, thank you. The story of the Police isn't just about Sting or Stewart or Andy. It's about creation, destruction, and everything in between. And that's why it still matters. Because the truth is louder than the music.